Hi besties, welcome to my channel. So this is my first video, so it may be a little rocky, but just work with me, okay? I thought for today's video I could do a little introduction about myself and then do my January TBR. Is it January 14th when I'm filming this? Yes. So it's gonna be a little bit like what have I read in my January TBR, as well as like books that I have not read yet. Well, first of all, my name is Bri. I am 23 years old. I did start my book social media on TikTok, but since we don't really know what's gonna happen with that, I have to broaden my social media. I've been thinking about a YouTube for a while now, just because your girl likes to yap, okay? I can literally talk for like 2 hours, and to me it feels like 10 minutes. So I thought this would be just a great platform for me to just get on here and like talk about books more in depth than I could with any other platform. My number one favorite genre is fantasy, and I feel like for me it'll forever be fantasy. Like nothing beats a fantasy book for me. Like romantasy, that is just literally perfection. One genre that I'm like really trying to get into this year is romance. I did read a little bit of romance last year. I got into my little cowboy romance era, and you know what? I am here for it. I love it so much. My book collection has just grown so much. I feel like it mostly just comprises of fantasy, romance, and thriller. I feel like those are like my top 3 genres. So if that is your niche of books, this is the page for you. Let's just get into my January TBR. So we'll talk about books that I have read so far. First one being Identity by Nora Roberts. So technically, did I read this? Yes. I actually did DNF this, okay? I think I DNF'd it within like 60-ish pages. I don't know if this is just how Nora Roberts writes or if it's just this book, but it's written in third person, and for me, my brain just like cannot comprehend third person. Like I can't comprehend when there's a conversation going on and it's like only in third person. So it makes me forget like who's the main character, like who's talking to who. I feel like a whole conversation would go on and I would have absolutely no idea who said what. And I really didn't like that. I also didn't really care for the plot. I feel like this is like promoted as a thriller, but I feel like it's more like a romance. I don't know. It starts as like a low-key a thriller, but I don't feel like it like really gets up to that level. I don't know. This book really confused me. So I only spent $1 on it because I thrifted it, so I'm not super mad about that. But I don't know. This is more like a soft DNF. Like maybe I'll go back in the future. Then we have Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. I actually just finished reading this a couple days ago. I did give this book 4 stars. I don't know. I feel like the ending was really confusing. Like I feel if you've read this book, you know, but I feel like the ending was like it came out of nowhere. Like I don't know how the main character like got to that conclusion. I also don't know if that was super important to the plot. I'm being cryptic because I don't want to like give spoilers because that's like literally the whole point of the book. But my biggest mistake with this book was starting it at 10 p.m. I thought it was a thriller. Okay, in my mind it's low-key giving a horror book just because there is some pictures in here that are quite frightening. And you know, I was sitting in my bed 10 p.m. with my hot cocoa, and you know, one of those scary pictures came up and I said, you know what, we're gonna read a romance and I'm gonna pick this up tomorrow because I just can't do it, okay? It honestly really scared me, and for that he did a really good job. But I feel like the first 80% of this book was like a totally different book than like the ending. I don't know, it just didn't connect for me. Like it didn't. I love books that have like that full circle moment. Like once you finish it, you're like, yes, everything came together. With this book, I didn't feel like that. I felt like the ending just didn't connect. And for that, I give it 4 stars. Moving on, these are books that I have not read yet, but I do plan on getting to them soon. First is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. I actually recently just picked this book up. This book is absolutely gorgeous, by the way. Like the end papers, it's just like this blue swirl, but the best part is the hardback. This hardback is like blue with gold foiling, and I just think that this is just so stunning. The main reason though I picked this up, one, It's sprayed and it's like books. Duh, of course I'm gonna love it. 2, though, I did apply for A Theory in Dreaming, which is her second book, and I was accepted for that arc. So that was like the main reason that I picked this up, because I've been wanting to read it for a while, but now that I have the arc, I'm like, okay, now I actually need to read it. So I am really excited about this book. I have heard iffy things about this book. I've heard it's okay. I haven't heard really any like super positive things about it, but I really do like the premise of the story. I'm gonna be honest, I go into books blind. I feel like books, in their synopsis, they low-key give spoilers. So I usually just try not to read too much. I usually read about one sentence, and if that gathers my attention, I'm like, yep, you know what, I'm picking it up. So I don't really know a lot about this book. I know that this girl is like really likes this author, and then she teams up with a guy who wants to prove that that author is a scam, or that he's like a fraud. And then they kind of team up and they go to his estate, and that's as much as I know about it. Yeah. I am really excited though. I think it sounds really interesting, and I feel like I can get through this book like pretty fast. So the next book on my TBR is Twisted Love by Anna Hong. I have been needing to read this book, okay? I have heard that this book is truly not good. So I'm not like super excited to read it. I have the entire series, so I'm like, I have to read it at some point. I do hear that it gets better, but I haven't heard it gets that much better. So all of these picks came from my TBR jar, so I didn't get to pick anything. I do a monthly like TBR pick because I buy books constantly, and then I have all these books I bought months ago that I never end up reading. So that's the whole point. I probably would put this book off a lot, but you know what? We're just gonna read it this month. I see this book literally everywhere. I feel like everyone's read it but me. So yeah. Next book on my TBR is The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros. I know this book is gonna destroy me, okay? Everybody tells me that I'm gonna bawl, I'm gonna cry, you know, I'm gonna be ripping out my hair. But I'm really excited actually, because I have only read the Empyrean series, so I would love to read a different genre by her to see if like she's just good at everything, because the Empyrean series is literally perfection. As much as I know about this is, I think it's like a military type story. I don't think I've really read, I really had to think about it. I don't think I've ever read like a true like military story. So I am pretty excited. I'm excited to cry. You know, sometimes you just need a good cry. And if this book is going to do it for me, then I'm excited. The last book on my January TBR is The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. This will be my first Kristen Hanna book that I will read. I have so many books by her, literally so many. I really want to read Nightingale because I think that's like one of the first books that I bought by her. No, I still haven't read it. Am I going to like that book? I already know I'm going to like that book, okay? I love historical fiction, so I just know that I'm going to like this author. And I literally haven't heard a single bad thing about her. So I have really high hopes, okay? The bar is like to the ceiling. Once again, I don't know anything about this book. Actually, this book I know nothing. I don't even think I've ever read the back of the book. I just bought it because it said Kristen Hanna on it. But I've heard from like literally everybody that they love this book. It's going to destroy me. It's super emotional. So I'm very excited. I actually thrifted this book as well. I got it for like $1.49. And this is a book of the month. It says February 2018. I didn't know this book came out that long ago. So these are the books I have left. Honestly, I am trying to read Once Upon a Broken Heart. I did low-key start that one. Is it on my TBR? No. But I haven't been wanting to read that for a while. Yes. You all will quickly learn that I make a TBR, but I don't really stick to it. I try, okay? I am going to try to read these. I am really interested in a lot of these, so I probably will read them. But every month, I do want to do like a monthly recap of the books I read, the reviews. I want to go really in-depth with that, more than in-depth than I do on my other social medias. So stay tuned for that. But I want to know what books are on your January TBR, or what books have you read so far off of your January TBR. But I hope you guys have the best day ever.